tax system, and that might just be spelling, some good tidings. But reducing personal income tax rates, all right, that's some good one, and decreasing corporate income tax rate. Additionally, though, the committee is recommending, removing taxes on essential goods and services such as food, housing, and transportation. But is that doing us any good? Is that really going to help us? Is that going to take us out of the wood in terms of what we experience at a time like this? Well, it begs for an answer, especially right now. But might we also let you in on the fact that, there is some contextual analysis that we might want to delve into as we go conversational on the matter.
Yes, it will be important to bring to light the fact that the proposed tax reforms aim to address Nigeria's low revenue profile, simplify the tax system, and reduce the tax burden on citizens and businesses. The increase in VAT rates will generate additional revenue for the government, while the consolidation of taxes and reduction in personal and corporate income tax rates will simplify the tax system and encourage economic growth. But there are critical questions to consider, because with this proposed policy, a lot of questions come to mind, very critical questions actually.
Exactly.
Now, what is the point of tax reforms? Because when Nigerians are losing, or if not have lost trust in the systems and institutions, what is the point of tax reforms when corruption is on the high and the federal government is not making conscious effort to cut the cost of governance? What are the gains of tax reforms when taxpayers' monies are not properly utilized and government officials spend indiscriminately to buy luxury at the expense of suffering and hardship of the citizenry? Now, this is what we shall be looking at. Very critical questions right here, looking at this proposed policy by the President's tax committee. Now, when you talk about tax, there is this perception that comes to mind, regardless of how good or viable tax is. Once you mention tax, something comes to mind. Average person on the side is like, it's about overburdening. But we shall be unbundling all of that right here on the program, and we have you on the other side, thank God, and it's all going to be about ensuring that we bring these issues to the fore and also have a better understanding if this is the way to go or not.
Right, in terms of taxation, right, quite a number of persons have argued that Nigeria seems to be the lowest, in taxing. But then again, when we still look at, the reality on ground, when we look at, what it is that we are going through at a time like this, would this be the right time for us to begin to have discussions, about tax reforms? In fact, some have said that, look, this might just be somewhat insensitive of the federal government if in a time like this all we can ever think about is reforming tax systems. But others are saying that wouldn't it be nice to indeed see that we have a tax reform system that will indeed address issues of overburdening, that will also address issues of multiple taxation, that will also allow for a single tax system whereby that, hey, when you pay for this tax, when it's being deducted from you one way or the other, you've paid for the most, or if not all, of the taxing, or tax responsibilities, duty that you have or that you owe to the country. Well, some valid points you raised there, Cassandra. I mean, concerning the trust deficit in Nigeria systems and institutions, the corruption, the misutilization of taxpayers, funds. These issues must be addressed to ensure the success, of tax reforms. But then again, if you also look at, the matters that bother around, the cost of governance, the proper utilization of taxpayers' funds, tax reforms and trust and all of that, it might also begin to cause some agitation in the hearts of Nigerians, whereby when you say that, hey, we should be taxed, Nigerians are not really having problems with taxing. Well, maybe now we would have, because of the, the truth of the reality that we face. But then what Nigerians are talking about would be predominantly how much of these monies can be accounted for, and that brings accountability.
Yes.
How much sustainability have we been able to ensure that these monies indeed are put into, capital projects that we can benefit from? And then the place of luxury, where we've seen some government officials, even government agencies and institutions, use this taxpayers' monies to for political or official aggrandizement, right? Well, some have even made it a personal aggrandizement. Now, if you now get to hear every now and then coming out in the public, which a lot of Nigerians are saying that, all of these informations are not even out just yet. We only hear about the 10 billion US is it naira now? Yeah, that was used in buying SUVs, right? It's just crazy when you hear about some other financial resorts, misappropriation of all of these monies. And then when you still hear again that we still have to go outside the shores of Nigeria and still keep borrowing here and there, the World Bank has declared us the third in indebtedness. Like we're all, if you're going to look for countries that are owing the World Bank, we are the third now. Now
the third spot.
The third spot. Nobody is dragging it with us. We just have it. We are there, and some are projecting that we might be taking it up to number one. Look at what's going on between us and China already, where a lot of people have said the Chinese have somewhat infiltrated legally, the Nigerian society, and one way or the other, their businesses spring out here and there, and all of that. But away from that, looking away from the treatment now, let's talk about the monies that we keep borrowing from the Chinese government. And it's a good thing that the president has taken a leap of faith outside the shores of Nigeria to meet Xi Jinping, right? The Chinese president right there, to have bilateral talks. And it seems as though, Nigerians are expecting that the president will not just have bilateral talks about power, about the oil sector, about any other thing. Maybe we should start telling the Chinese that maybe we need to have our debts pardoned too, so that we don't have to be at the top, of all of the, owing, or the top owers, if you like me to put it that way, right? With all of these countries, because it only continues to, degrade us as a sovereign country. I tell you the truth, however you want to say it, poverty, a bad economy, and all of that always has a way of bringing down a country, right? And I'm also wanting to let you in on the fact that we have our guest, who is in the person of Mr. Agaba Wilson Agaba. He's a business financial consultant and public affairs analyst. Very good morning to you, and welcome to you, Mr. Agaba Wilson Agaba.
Good morning, Yugi.
Right.
How are you doing this morning?
Yes, very well, thank you. I've got Cassandra right here with me. That's right, and together we will engage this discourse. Tinubu's tax committee proposes VAT increase and streamlining of taxes. And one of the major highlights of this will be the fact that the committee is proposing a law to increase the value-added tax VAT rate from 7.5% to 10% from 2025, and the proposal also includes consolidating multiple taxes into a single tax, reducing personal income tax rates and decreasing corporate income tax rates. Additionally, though, is looking at the recommending removing taxes on essential goods and services such as food, housing, and transportation. Do you think Nigerians would want to embrace this tax system, even though it seemingly has some good trade following through?
Well, basically, if you look at what you have just read out, and I tried to do a quick research on their proposal, it makes some sense. But you see, this once again confirms that the government is yet to find a proper focus around which it can rally all of its policies. Now we have the issue of inflation on common goods that we consume on a daily basis. The prices are going up, and recently the FCCPC made a statement that retailers and traders should crash the prices of goods in the next 1 month.
Which they've stopped that movement already. They've stopped it already now. They're not going further with it anymore.
So now, if you say reduce the price of goods and then you increase VAT, who is going to pay for the VAT?
Right.
It is the buyer that will pay for the VAT. So when you buy any goods, it is the price the seller wants to sell plus VAT. So if you increase VAT by 10%, it is going to increase the price of many of these goods that we buy on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Then on the other side, when they are proposing reduction in personal income tax and corporate income tax, yes, reduction in corporate income tax may encourage organizations, to thrive more and even create more jobs, in the long run, if it to happen and all of that. But there are other things you should do and can do to encourage corporate organizations, to encourage SMEs to sprout, grow, and become internationalized in Nigeria, which is not necessarily the reduction in tax. All of this is geared towards of more revenue. And to generate more revenue, I have said it before, let us bring efficiency to the collection of our taxes or revenue. Let us bring, for instance, I don't know why a private organization called VIO is collecting revenue for vehicles when a system can actually do that now. We can have a comprehensive system that will automatically debit me when my paper expires and expect me to go and do the needful and collect my paper. We can do that now. Why do we still have a private organization collecting that money in several states and taking a huge percentage of it before they give the remaining to government? If we do that, we will bring efficiency to the system. Why do we have a lot of agberos that are recruited by private agencies collecting revenue for local government? People who use vehicle trucks like Hillock and Tundra and Ridgeline and the rest are being harassed on the road every day by these people, asking these people, asking users to pay money even when they know they are not registered for commercial purposes. Why can't we streamline this? We have a lot of informal businesses that are not paying any form of taxes. How about we have a way of integrating them into the system using the carrot and the stick approach? If we integrate all of these businesses into the system and charge them a very minimal amount of taxes, and in exchange have details of these businesses so that it will allow us to do surveys and grow. And then we can vet it by saying, you are in this system, you can access XYZ loan that you can pay without putting down collateral and all of that. And you will see them coming. What I'm saying, vis-a-vis, is expanding the tax revenue instead of inflicting more pain on those who are paying. If we can have 100 million people bringing 20 naira monthly, it is easier for all of us to do than to have 10,000 people bringing 1 million naira every month.
Right.
And this is what the government always do. They try to double down on those who are doing the right thing. And it looks like you are twisting the country so that the system favors those who don't want to do the right thing and punishes those who want to do the right thing.
Right.
So let's leave this doubling down approach and let's look at widening the tax net and let's look at putting bait. If you are paying, what can we be doing for you? This is the bait that will bring people into the system. If you have a 200 billion naira SME loan lying down somewhere in the CBN, let's go out there and recruit micro, small, and medium enterprises into the tax net. Get your tax identification number. You can pay XYZ tax. You will also qualify to apply for this loan.
So that will be
start rolling out this loan as they pay back other fees.
Yeah, that will be you advocating for the use of technology within the process, right? Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into yet another angle to it now.
All right, now looking at the perception that a lot of citizens have when it comes to taxation, particularly in our climate.
Cassandra, you might have to come closer to the microphone. I can barely hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello. Yes. Okay. All right, thank you, sir. So I was trying to ask that looking at the perception that some citizens have towards taxation and with this proposed policy, how do we manage this? How do we put this together that, hey, look, tax, there's nothing wrong with paying off taxes, but it is needful and we should do this? How can we do away with this mindset of people feeling that taxation has to do with overburdening the populace?
It starts with reorientation, proper communication, which many administrations have failed to do, and which the current administration is failing woefully to do. If you do a survey of Nigerians today, nobody can tell you the policy direction of this administration. You will see that a very low percentage will get, but we don't have any direction that is well defined. All of us are rallying around. So it is the duty of those in power to use the relevant mechanism to educate the Nigerian people about the importance of paying tax. And it is also about transparently administering this tax regime. And again, it is also about accountability for the money you have collected. If we live in a compound, 10 of us in 10 different flats, we contribute money together to say, let's pay the gate man who closes and opens the gate for us. Let's pay for electricity bill. Let's pay the person who comes to evacuate our waste. And then the person in charge of doing these expenses does not come back to give us a breakdown of how he has spent the money. Or we notice that we are having issue of people not moving dirt. We are having issue of distribution company disconnecting our lights. And man is living large and buying one additional car every month. Won't you have problem paying the money back to him next time? You will have problem donating. So the government at different levels are not accounting for the revenue they are collecting from the people. So the people feel, why am I contributing when nothing is done in my favor? You collect ground rent from an area for the whole year, and the area have no road, they have no water, they have no even drainages and all of that they don't have. And you want them to pay next year. What is the reason for government? The reason for government is to collect from us collectively and administer to us collectively, so that we both pay for living in a society that is organized and working.
All right.
So it boils back down to corruption, impunity in the system, inefficiency of our judiciary, and all the mechanism that is supposed to address corruption, stealing and looting of public funds, abuse of public offices, and all of this. So if we start from the top by showing, look, from the past, we have been untrustworthy, we have been corrupt, we have been indolent, and we have not been sensitive to the plight of the people. But going forward, see what we are going to do.
Okay.
We are going to have a technology in place that shows you how much you are paying, and we are going to apply that money to sectors that benefit you, and it's going to be in a transparent way that you can see. And then you go out and put the message here and you tell the people, please, come and trust me again. Test me and see how it goes. This is how you change the conversation. This is how you make the people feel that the tax we are paying is working for us. It's not by putting a billboard or hanging a banner on the bridge and say your tax can do more. How does that talk to the man or woman who cannot read or write?
It really has to go beyond what we put on the banners. He's basically saying that it's about transparency. Let's see what you are using these taxes to do. It's for us to see your workings, your doings, so that Nigerians would understand better.
But when the reverse is the case and we are seeing our monies, our hard-earned monies put into tax system or taxation is being spent and lavished in certain, matters that does not, outrightly affect our lives or allow us to have a better standard of living, it only falls short of our expectation. And yes, most of these, attempts, most of these action by the federal government and some of these public public officials have not been even thrown to public opinion, because of course at the place of public opinion, they know it will not take center stage. They know it will not make past the first reading, if of the public opinion, house, if I want to put it that way, right? They know it will not scale through, but then they just do this, and it's really, really sad and somewhat emboldening the how that they will come up, even on the faces of social media as well as on newspapers, and we'll still see 10 billion US dollars or 10 billion naira for SUVs, 200 and something million or billion, spent on just, I don't get it. And then you get to want to build trust from the people, from the citizenry. That is yet another angle. That is not to say that, look, we don't know that there is an importance to paying taxes, which I don't think quite a number of Nigerians would have a problem with or are having a problem with. The issue will now be if you continue to flaunt these monies of ours right in front of our faces, while we have people amongst us who can barely feed, a square meal, even a half square meal in a day, where we're having, of course, the multiple taxation system continuing unabated, where we're having, of course, the fuel skyrocketing, and of course prices of commodities tripling, and then of course transportation and all of that becomes a tripling game. It makes you wonder if we are being just pawns in the place of some of these politicians. Well, let's just go pay a bill. We'll be right back in a short bit. Keep it in mind, this is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. When we come back, of course, you get to also pull your thoughts together and, of course, put that call through as we engage, because is it becoming unbecoming just yet? Well, let's find out how much of it is coming. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Get the desired clients for your business and service and get your phones buzzing. From the 1st of September to the 31st of December, you can advertise and reach a large audience with the Eagles 7 Ember Months package. Advertise on any of our platforms and get a whopping 30% discount. That's right, 30% discount. For more information, please call 080-5919-8658 or 081-5791-7278. The Eagles FM 102.3 FM Ember package is a sure way to getting a wider clientele for your business and service.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Admission is now open at Eagles Academy Lokoja into the following classes.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
From Milky Way to Earth, everywhere there's internet, you can connect with Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Log on to our website www.eaglesfm.com. Follow and engage with us now on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Eagles FM Abuja, Instagram at Eagles FM 1023. Download our apps on your Android and iOS stores. Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, your radio experience you can count on.
Right, yes, this is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. 34 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side. What do you exactly feel about Tinubu's tax committee now coming up to saying that we might be having at least a single tax, and of course the 7.5 VAT would be increased to 10% by 2025. Do you think all will be well with us when we engage in that route? And do you also feel that probably we're given our most, especially when some are saying that we are not indeed, where we are supposed to be when it comes to the taxation system, that is required of a country? I'll let Cassandra jump into that one for us.
All right, now this, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD), Nigeria's tax to GDP ratio was 6.3% in 2020. This is one of the lowest in Africa and globally. In Africa, the average tax to GDP ratio is around 16%. Countries like South Africa, Morocco, and Tunisia have tax to GDP ratios above 20%. Globally, the average tax to GDP ratio is around 34%. Countries like Denmark, Sweden, and Finland have tax to GDP ratios above 40%. Now, I think basically this data is trying to provide a context to the conversation on the proposed tax changes in Nigeria. It's trying to say that our tax to GDP ratio is significantly lower than other African countries and even the global averages.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then when you look at a comparative analysis, right, you would also discover that the proposed tax reforms in Nigeria can be compared to similar reforms in other African and international countries. You might want to bring us up to speed with that one now.
Yes. Now, looking at other African countries, Ghana implemented a VAT rate increase from 12 to 5%.
From 12 to 15
to 15% in 2019 to generate additional revenue for the government. And South Africa also has a VAT rate of 15% and has implemented various tax reforms to simplify the tax system and reduce the tax burden on citizens and businesses. Away from Africa, the United Kingdom has a VAT rate of 20% and has implemented various tax reforms to encourage economic growth and reduce the tax burden on citizens and businesses. Now, the big question is taxation really the problem, or the enabling environment, or the utilization of these taxes? We'll leave it to you.
Right. So you can also call the number 0908-766-8888. I'll give you the number again, 0908-766-8888. And the WhatsApp portal number, which you should only send your WhatsApp portal message to, and a text message will do. That will be 0909-705-4450. Taking this call. Hello and good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Henry calling from Cuba.
Oh, Henry.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it should be out of place if anybody will say, citizen paying tax is wrong. But the question is this: we generate a lot of money in this country, but the critical question is, what has this money been used for? I want to give you an instance. Let's go to our bank. Any transaction I make for one of my institutions, my bank, they charge me 26 naira. Sometimes, you see like 700 naira, 800 naira for ATM charges, maintenance. You there before God amount for the past 3-5 years now, I have no ATM in that bank account I'm talking about. So
you have what? You have what?
I don't have ATM card on that.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you look at, going to how are you going to make the complaint to? Something happened. I had one of my business. Yeah. I use light, right?
Yeah.
I got a job. There was a job I got. That job I was supposed to do that job maybe 100,000 naira. I got to find out that I spent 80-something thousand doing a job of 100,000 naira.
You spent 80-something thousand to do a job of 100,000.
I'm being honest.
Okay.
If you do the analysis now, you see that is my own personal effort is nothing.
Right.
I get nothing from that. What the government are trying to do now is this: they are trying to force every individual to live like them. There are some of us here in this country who still believe this is a better country, but they are enforcing some certain things. They are inflicting pain on some of us that we just have to live the way they want us to live. It's crazy. You guys of yesterday, a liter of fuel is over 800 naira in Nigeria, one of the oil producing nations. We cry every day. This matter is the government are not really for. They're not really for that. I've come to understand this.
All right.
They're not for.
All right.
So
Thank you.
Whatever anybody can do now to earn a living, I think is welcome.
All right. Thank you, Henry, for that one now. Henry just gave his thoughts right there, saying, well, there's a big, massive issue when indeed it's about accountability, sustainability, and holding people, to account for how these taxes have been utilized. There's always been an issue of poor utilization. Well, still speaking with our guest in the person of Mr. Agaba, Wilson Agaba, another question will also emerge. What are the benefits of removing taxes on essential goods and services, and how will the proposed tax reforms affect Nigeria's economic growth from your own standpoint?
Removing taxes on essential goods will help in moderating the prices, but that is if you can actually regulate the prices. Because the problem in Nigeria is that since no system works, everybody does what they want. So even if you reduce tax on, say, some kind of, or maybe drugs, for instance, you're going to see that it will not translate into a reduction in the sales price.
Right.
Because our people will just want to pocket the extra profit that the tax reduction gave them. And how are you going to ensure that the person that you have reduced tax for will reduce its price? What is the mechanism to implement that? That is going to be the problem. If the government can find a mechanism to do that, then it will be fine. If we were in a society where the market forces actually determine pricing, then you will see, because of competition among the retailers or sellers, people who want to sell their product faster with lower margin but more turnover will now reduce their price. And then others, in trying to compete with them, will reduce their price. Then it keeps going and getting better for the people. But in Nigeria, where almost every industry there is a cartel that an association that is supposed to enforce quality and standards will turn around and start doing price fixing. I was talking to a client who has a pure water, what we popularly call pure water company recently. And then they have the association. And then the association came up and said, look, nobody should sell a bag of sachet water for 300 naira again. It should be sold for 500. And then they have their agents going around enforcing the price increase. And I have never heard them saying, let's enforce the quality of water that is sold to the public.
Right.
And of course, the government did nothing to such. So these things cut across every sector and industry. There's always a cartel. If you go to telco now, they will have association. And you can see that almost the packages from the telecommunication companies are priced almost at the same amount of money. The qualities are almost the same. So this happens across industries and sectors. And the government have not established any effective and efficient system to check this. So I don't think that this is going to translate to anything meaningful, but it is a policy with a good intention.
Right.
All right? It's a policy with a good intention.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for giving us that. And now moving on to what we need to know, looking at the implications, still on the conversation on the proposed tax reforms in Nigeria. Let's look at what the implications would be. The proposed tax reforms in Nigeria have the potential to address the country's low revenue profile, simplify the tax system, and reduce the tax burden on citizens and businesses. However, there is need for careful consideration given that will be given to the potential implications, and measures should be taken to mitigate any negative effects. The success of the proposed tax reforms depends on addressing the trust deficit, very important, corruption and misutilization of taxpayers' funds. A comprehensive approach that prioritizes transparency, accountability and sustainability is necessary to ensure the reforms achieve their intended goals and benefit the Nigerian people.
Right. Well, some are already saying that a part of the proposals will be the increased revenue, where the increase in VAT rate will generate additional revenue for the government, and of course, consolidation of taxes will simplify the tax system and reduce the tax burden on citizens and businesses, and that it might also lead to the place of economic growth, where the proposed tax reforms is aimed at encouraging economic growth by reducing the tax burden on citizens and businesses, and that increase in VAT rate may also lead to inflation if businesses pass on the additional cost to consumers. And of course, finally, the place of compliance, which you've mentioned earlier, the simplified tax system may improve compliance and reduce tax evasion. But then what do you think indeed might be the plausible answer to the place of benefits of consolidating multiple taxes into a single tax? Do you think that would be a step in the right direction, especially as we are buckling up to a 2025 projection?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think as a business consultant, I've seen that in the books of my clients, and both the informal and the formal taxes. So if we can find a template that unifies this thing and streamlines it, so that we get the average of the street, people that are not in uniform and cannot properly identify themselves, harassing business vehicles, harassing businesses in their premises all the time for one form of taxes or the other, or taxes that are even duplicated. If we can streamline it, it makes doing business within the country easier and cheaper, and it makes processes more efficient. And then, of course, it's going to lead to ease of doing business, and of course, the long-term effect of that is growth in the economy because of the multiple economic activities that spring up. And of course, when there is more economic activities, then there is employment. When there is employment, then you are putting money in the hands of people, and poverty is going to go down.
Right.
And if poverty is going down, people are engaged, then of course, social vices will reduce and all of that. Mm-hmm. It's all intertwined. So it's a step in the right direction. Right. All right? And what I would like to say is for them to seek more to find effective and efficient way of administering the tax regime than to just put out this theory. How can we practically implement this? How can we make sure that the charges to pay on commercial trucks can be synchronized across all the 774 local governments, maybe collected at a central point and then shared accordingly, so that I won't move my truck from one state as I cross into another state. People are blocking me on the road to still collect the same money, and then I cross into. So when you are moving goods from Lagos to Sokoto, for instance, how many will you pay on the way?
Right.
So it's important to find a lot of these things. It will help businesses to do better and help the economy.
Right.
All right. Now, moving away from, just like you suggested, it's time for us to move away from the theoretical aspect. Now, there are suggestions that the government should establish a monitoring and evaluation framework to track progress and make adjustments as necessary. Do you agree to this suggestion?
That the government should establish monitoring and evaluation team at work.
Okay, yeah, that's the suggestion.
To track, the progress and maybe make adjustments where necessary. Because you also mentioned the fact that, look, it's time to follow through and follow up.
This is not supposed to be a suggestion. Everything you do, if you have done a little bit of project management before, there is always monitoring and evaluation. Is always the gateway for everything you put out there. Even manufacturing company, they manufacture a car, put it out there to perform, and they put a lot of sensors inside to collect data and send back to them, so that they can see the performance of the vehicle, and then they tweak it and tell you they have improved XYZ in the vehicle and they have created a new model for you to go and buy. It is the same thing with your phone. So you cannot create a tax framework without a monitoring and evaluation system. You are not God. Only God can do things that are perfect. When you are human, you create any system, you must put a monitoring and evaluation thing. What is their job? Monitor how it functions Is it functioning as we designed it to be a problem we want it to solve? As it is solving it, is it creating a new problem? Now, how can we solve a new problem without undermining the effectiveness of the system?
Right.
Now, what is it we can do to improve it? What is it we can do to make it go wider? And all of that. That thing has to be a part of the framework. And I think it is. If the government have designed this tax framework without that thing, then I think those people should go.
Yeah, but
those people should be banned and a new set of people should be put together.
Right.
So that monitoring and tracking thing is part and parcel of
Part and parcel.
It's not. It shouldn't be an afterthought.
Right, but Mr. Agaba, my Cassandra and I and myself, we've been having a bit of a discourse as we put the topical issue into limelight and perspective, and we came about to this resort.
Yes. Is it like when you talk about streamlining all of these taxes in one, is it going to be reduced, or is it just like giving a new face to the old thing? It's still the same thing in the same, but just a different container altogether? Or is this going to be a new dawn for taxpayers in Nigeria and also a beginning of something different and even better?
From your observation.
I'm going to, from my own perspective, my own understanding,
right,
as a business consultant who have encountered this problem with my clients many times, I'm going to come at it from this position. Take, for instance, in Abuja here,
right,
if you have a bus, right, that you use in moving your school children, right, if you had paid, there's a particular fee they pay for such buses. If you write the name of your school on your bus, it means it is some kind of mobile advert. There's something you pay for it.
Right.
If you are within the AMAC, right, and you happen to cross AMAC into any other LGA, maybe you go to Gwagwalada, they will arrest you.
Right.
They will arrest you to pay the money there, right? But this thing is mobile, and you cross into Nasarawa State, they will arrest you and you have to pay. This is something I have experienced firsthand when I was the head of a particular school. We were arrested in different areas. We went to Suleja to pick books, and we were arrested. We have to pay them. Now, a vehicle is mobile.
Hello? I guess we're having a bit of a bad network on that one, but let's just quickly run through these messages that has come via the WhatsApp portal. Remember, you can still put that call through 0908-766-8888. Let's get with the messages now.
Yes, and the first message of the program this morning. Good morning, UD and Cassie. A very good morning to our own very Mr. Agaba.
Right.
Here we go again with the government's haphazard way of doing things. No synergy and no clear-cut direction, always putting the cart before the horse and resorting to cosmetic approaches to paper over the cracks. Are we really surprised with all the taxes and taxing? In one of the President Tinubu's colloquium some time ago, he infamously said he was going to slow down the economy and widen the tax net. That was the most clueless economic statement by any standards, and to think he got applause was even more concerning, and an attribute to the fact that he is surrounded by sycophants and praise singers. Where's the place of accountability and transparency in the loans and all the revenue generated from crude sales? Where's the place of credibility and responsibility of the government to admit to its mistakes and own up to their responsibilities? Where's the place of the government leading by example and first showing they can be trusted for doing what benefits the masses and not the privileged elites? This is from James. From Suleja.
Right.
And then away from James's message, we have this greetings, UD and Cassandra.
Right.
Just as you said, UD, we don't have problems with the tax. The question is, after taxing us, what are they doing with the money? In a situation where the masses are being exploited by the leaders that are meant to provide and protect them, it shows insensitivity and lack of concern on the side of the government. I am very sorry to say that this is one of the worst government we ever had in this country. Instead of finding ways to reduce the hardship, hunger and depression that the masses are going through, no, they would not, but they have got to bring out policies that will keep the masses in a more critical situation and perpetual poverty. How did we get here? And who is doing this to us in this country? Thank you, UD and Cassandra. And may God make it easy for us in this country. That's Samuel from Kuje.
Right.
And a new message this morning, it's actually from Alamein from Central Area. UD, I'm not sure that the data stating Nigeria is the third most indebted nation to China is accurate. According to the Economic Times magazine published on the 28th of August 2024, Nigeria is the sixth on the list with $4.3 billion. Kenya is number one with $6.7 billion. Bangladesh second with $6.1 billion. Zambia third with also $6.1 billion. Laos is fourth with $5.3 billion, while Egypt is fifth with $5.2 billion. That's actually from Alami from Central area.
I mean, I remember that we mentioned World Bank, and I only said that we are on the payroll of China too in terms of indebtedness. But let's just throw all of these all through.
Yeah, well, then just make that
as
up
quickly as we can. Yeah.
Okay, now good morning, Mr. UD and Cassandra. My name is Honorable Edward Tehili Tiopev from Apo Resettlement.
Okay.
You guys are seriously doing well with this program.
Right.
The general analysis of what is happening in Nigeria is a failure. Promised and fail has become mandatory for our leaders. I'm not sure of the latest promise by the federal government to reduce the cost of living based on the past records of our leaders. Where are refineries, the buses, the palliative, removal of tax on some food items, and security? The worst of it is our governors who refused to be part of good governance but are still receiving security votes without doing anything that concerns insecurity within their states. It's unfortunate. Thanks.
All right, thanks. It says right there. I mean, but Mr. Agaba, Wilson Agaba, thank you. I mean, we cannot go any further, but you've, while addressing, the situation on ground, especially with the taxation profile system that we are beginning to want to adopt for 2025, being a single taxation, system where, of course, there'll be removal of taxes on food and some other essential commodities. You've also given your recommendations and what you believe should be the way forward. We want to thank you so much for engaging with us, even though it has not been a very convenient one for you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
For having me. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Right, and this is where we call it a close. We want to say a big thank you to you, and just to say to Yusuf, we cannot take your message at this point. So sorry about that, but yes, we see that you have sent a message in. We appreciate you. Tomorrow is yet another time, and yes, we'll keep talking politics and current affairs. Remember, I always say that the power is in the people, and politics is what we address. My name is Udwak Daniel.
My name is Cassandra Yunube. Keep listening to Eagles FM always.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This is Eagles 102.3 News.